Saturdays in December, I'm reviewing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Season 15. If you're not a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you are dismissed. See you back here tomorrow for a normal episode. Season 15, Episode 5, The Gang Goes to Ireland. The gang's in Dublin, where Dennis ends up helping Frank with some of his business's dirty work. Mac and Charlie learn about their Irish heritage. Dee returns to the set of an Irish soap opera, where she will play an obnoxious American MILF. Let me just start with, it happens almost immediately in the episode. I have floated the theory that this season is apocryphal. I know it's a sitcom. I know the logic of it doesn't matter. But did you see Dee get hit by the car? She went flying. I don't think the injury as portrayed in the episode matches the extent to which she was hit by a car. Going back to the first episode, was the gang really involved with every important event in 2020? I don't think so. So this whole season might just, be like Bobby Ewing in the shower? I don't know. I'm overthinking a sitcom. I was on the Reddit. The fans there really like these two episodes. I liked episode 6 a lot more than episode 5. The Reddit thought these two episodes, and I'll talk about episode 6 in a couple minutes. The Reddit folks thought these two were the best of the season. I think 6 was up there for the best of the season, but I really liked last week's pair more than episode 5 anyway. I'm cribbing here off the AV Club's recap. They wrote, The Gang Goes to Ireland as season 15 hits its stride. Now, I was worried that taking the show to Ireland would mess things up. It really worked just fine. I also thought it was funny that every bar that they hang out with looks kind of like Paddy's Pub, and in reality, it's probably just a redress of the existing set, but they did a good job with that. It just feels the same, even though they're ostensibly in Ireland. Of note, this two-parter was written by Rob McElhenney, Charlie Day, and Glenn Howerton. Some of the weaker episodes, Glenn stepped out on the writing, and I think it shows, so it's good to see Glenn back in there. Some edgy humor. Frank, as it turns out, has been the #1 beverage supplier to Jeffrey Epstein, leading to his frenzied efforts to destroy all evidence of his association with the late Jeffrey Epstein. Frank says 95% of what went down on there was not pedophilia, which was a great joke. The AV Club writes, I can totally buy both that Frank would want no part of the whole pedophilia thing, and that he'd happily make a ton of money selling booze to and splashing around with the rich and powerful people who very much did. The AV Club talked about Dee's appearance on the Irish sitcom, and she gets her role stolen by the vacationing waitress. And the AV Club writes, in the least elegant plot twist of the two episodes, yeah, just shoehorning the waitress in there didn't work at all. We start to suspect that Dennis may have COVID. He has lost his sense of smell. We saw more of Dennis's psychopathic tendencies, a favorite topic of mine. Approaching a red-headed Irish bartender, Dennis leaps right into dead-eyed fury once his COVID-numb nose cannot smell the pure scent he'd imagined on a true Irish ginger. Mac is all proud that he's Irish, but we find out that he's not Irish. We find out that Mac's entire self-styled identity as the Irish badass bouncer of a pub named Paddy's is all a careless lie cooked up by his criminal father. His father, Luther MacDonald, apparently that's not his real last name. His real name is Vandross, making the joke that his father's name is Luther Vandross. And I guess that makes Ronald Mac MacDonald Ronald Vandross. Ranting to the guys he doesn't know who he is anymore, the episode gives Dennis the chance to finally say, identity doesn't have to factor into absolutely every decision you make. But for Mac, identity is all he has. Ass kicker, Irish, Catholic, gay. The joke has never been whether Mac was or was not those things, but how desperately he's thrown himself into various roles in a quest for self-validation. Mac heads to the seminary. He wants to become a priest, telling a priest, I only want one man inside of me. Mac's Irishness stripped from him and his homosexuality proving as unfulfilling as his early series womanizing. Catholicism is now first, and therefore he hurls himself right into the priestly study with an inappropriately hunky seminarian. But I guess now we're on to the second episode. This is a two-parter. Episode 6, The Gang Still in Ireland. Dennis and Dee explore their new accommodations in the countryside. Frank accompanies Charlie to find out the truth about Charlie's Irish childhood pen pal. Mac has an identity crisis and decides to join the seminary. So we meet Shelley Kelly, played by the great Colm Meaney. And long story short, we find out that Shelley Kelly is Charlie's dad. And here we finally see some character growth for Charlie. Charlie and his dad really hit it off, and Charlie starts getting less weird. Frank continues to be weird, and Charlie just kind of feels all grown up now and doesn't want to deal with Frank being weird. Shelley, the dad, takes Charlie and Frank back to his cottage where the gang's going to stay over. Shelley's taken aback at Frank's assertion that Frank and Charlie will share a single cot in the living room, and so is Charlie. Shelley heads off to bed. Charlie yells out, "Good night, Dad." We see Frank alone on the cot. The episode ends with Frank lonely, and he says, "Good night, Charlie," to a now empty room. Isn't that sad? We also had a side plot where Dennis seemed even more psychotic as he was trying to fall asleep under the influence of COVID. Is that a thing? Did I phrase that right? Anyway, he starts to be delirious and seems extra creepy, freaking out Dee. He wants to go to the hospital. Her phone is dead, and he tells her, "Go to the old bell tower and ring the goddamn bell, you bitch." We also learn in the episodes that the gang is vaccinated, except Dennis. Dennis is not vaccinated. So 2 pretty good episodes there. I liked the Charlie plots, and I liked the Mac plots. The D stuff didn't do it for me. That seems to be a recurring theme with me. I'm a big fan of Dennis plots, but the Dennis plots didn't work in this one either. But really excited to see what they do with the Charlie character. It would be fun to see him grow up and mature a little bit, and you can never get enough of Mac. Episode 5, the gang goes to Ireland. It's a solid B. Episode 6, the gang's still in Ireland. B+. From Vulture, 17 essential episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm in the middle of my rewatch, so some of these will be fresher than others to me. Season 2, Episode 1, Charlie Gets Crippled. Vulture writes, "Look, the first season of Sunny isn't the best, although the 7 episodes certainly have their moments. They're by and large too cringy and unnecessarily harsh to be funny. I've never felt that way. I think, other than Danny DeVito not being there, they feel the same as any other episode. I've never agreed with that." Vulture writes, "The real beginning of Sunny, as fans know, it doesn't come until the start of Season 2 when Frank arrives. Even without Frank's introduction, though, this episode's pretty good with Charlie using his disability to get perks at the mall." Yeah, that's a good one where they're riding around the mall in wheelchairs. Good stuff. Season 2, Episode 3, Dennis and Dee go on welfare. A classic, probably one of the best episodes ever. Dennis and Dee temporarily get addicted to crack. Sure, it ruined their lives, but only for a few days, so what's the big deal? Love that episode. Season 3, Episode 9, Sweet Dee's Dating a Retarded Person is the name of the title. Vulture writes, "Yes, the title is dated." You heard me hesitate there. I was like, can I say this word? It's in the title, so I read it. Yes, the title's dated, to say the least, but if you can forgive that, the episode is a high point of early Sunny. Dee refusing to admit that her boyfriend is mentally disabled is amusing due to her increasingly inane attempts to prove otherwise. But what the key here is Charlie's creation of The Nightman, a song about a nocturnal creature who does not molest him, thank you very much, and who'd return in the following season for one of Sunny's all-time great episodes. Put that in your back pocket. Season 4, Episode 2, the gang solves the gas crisis. The plot of the gas crisis, Mac, Dennis, and Charlie attempt to sell gasoline while a bitter Dee and Frank try to convince the world her father is a terrorist simply because he donated her inheritance money. They go on an Ocean's 11-style mission. Mac is the brains, Frank is the muscle, Dennis is the good-looking one, and Dee is the useless chick. Charlie, he's the wild card. Season 4, Episode 10, I just watched that last night. This is what I'm up to on my rewatch. Dee and Dennis, attempting to be healthier after she suffers a heart attack. There's a brief homage to Danny DeVito's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but it's Charlie's conspiracy-addled meltdown that makes this episode a must-see. If you've ever seen the Charlie meme where he's standing in front of a bulletin board with all sorts of connections, that's from this episode. It's pure, bizarre, unhinged Sunny, and it inspired that fantastic meme used by fans and non-fans for years to come. So that's where I am on my rewatch, but I will do one more episode because it's so awesome. Then I think I'll split this and finish this up next week. Season 4, Episode 13... This might be the best episode, The Nightman Cometh. Sunny's only musical episode, but it's the one the show will be remembered for, and for good reason. The songs, the sets, Dennis's Dayman codpiece. It's all hilariously wrong, but so undeniably perfect that the cast even took it on a brief cross-country tour. Man, I wish I had seen that tour, and I'll probably spend the rest of the afternoon singing Dayman. It's pretty catchy, and don't think I've not spent time on YouTube looking for cover versions of that song. There's some pretty good heavy metal versions of Dayman. So The Nightman Cometh, I think I might vote that the best Sunny episode. But I'll finish this list next week. Yes, Christmas Day. What a better way to spend Christmas than by reviewing Season 15, Episodes 7 and 8 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Normal episode tomorrow. Follow the show on Pandora, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your shows. See you then.